All set, Robert?
I'll go through it.
Go ahead, man.
All right. So good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Leominster Conservation Commission meeting. It's 6:06 p.m. on Tuesday, September 27th, 2022. My name is Nick Kremp. I'm the conservation agent for Leominster. Before we start, I just want to remind everyone here to please silence any devices you might have on you so we don't interrupt the proceedings. And with that, I'll take a roll of the commissioners present. Mike Seeke.
Here.
Richard Gullick.
Here.
Stephanie Quinlan.
Here.
And Chuck Raymond.
Here.
And absent is our newly temporarily appointed commission member Josh Bodridge and our old commission member Ken Ridlin. So with that, we can go ahead and start. I'll hand it over to Chuck Raymond, the chair.
Did you just call Ken old?
He's our existing current, so we're already here, yes.
I won't tell him, but it's now in public domain, so. All right, thank you, Nick. Welcome, everybody. You guys. All right, so we'll get going. Under new hearings, the only one we have, pursuant to Mass General Law, Chapter 131, Section 40, the Massachusetts Wetlands Protection Act, the Leominster Conservation Commission will hold a public hearing on a notice of intent regarding the construction of drainage swales and berms. Address 1525, that's 1525 Central Street. Map and parcels 499-15, 499-18, 499-40, 499-42A. DP file number not yet assigned. Is that true?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, so with a number, we'll need to continue anyway, but you're more than welcome to present.
We are also able to vote on that, I believe.
Yes.
That's what the MACC trained. We discussed that last time.
We are
That we can vote on it,
able
but you
to.
can't sign it.
Thank you.
So we can take care of business and everybody can go home, and then as soon as you get the stuff,
We sign.
as soon as you get the DEP number,
Right.
then we can sign it, the order goes effect.
I need to just bone up on the current regulations.
But it's
Sorry to interrupt.
But no, that was good information, thank you.
but it is recommended that we don't close the hearing until
We don't close the
we get
hearing.
the, yeah, so.
Yes. Well worded.
So we don't close it, we don't close it.
We could vote on it and close it and vote on it, but it's recommended not to until after we receive DEP's comments.
So if we don't close it then, that means we have to talk about it again at another meeting. Is that correct?
We'll just continue it to another meeting and then we can just proceed to vote on it, I believe.
Okay.
Trying to avoid people having to come back.
No, absolutely not, that's fine, okay.
Yeah.
With that all, proceed please.
Do you want me anywhere in particular, or?
No, most people have been putting their maps here. Just when you get ready, introduce yourself, that's all.
I'm Callie Thompson from Apex Companies. We are the environmental consultant representing LKQ on behalf of their application and efforts. The site is under an EPA consent order to upgrade some of their stormwater design to current standards, which is what started all of this. We handle their routine quarterly stormwater compliance under their industrial stormwater permit for quarterly sampling and routine inspections, their SWIP plans, all of that piece. So with EPA engagement, we have also come on board to assist with the design of improvements to address their concerns, and that triggered the NOI application and the site. So the site is approximately 26 acres. It is operational as a junkyard, and they decommission vehicles. Warehouse and facility structures are up on the front end, and these are 1 foot contours, so pretty flat overall, actually. And ultimately, there are a couple of outfalls. There's one up here in the north corner. There is a gravel drainage ditch receiving water from a power cut on the western side. Ultimately, they just funnel it away from the yard. And there is an outfall down here in the southeast corner, and proposed improvements are effectively to extend existing high wall berms on the property to cover areas where the berms are lower and water is discharging off-site to retain all stormwater on the property and prevent any discharge to adjacent properties. That's intended to allow infiltration and slow retention of the water, as well as to prevent any concerns associated with the operations potentially affecting another parcel. There are also wetland resources that have been delineated off-site and adjacent. So along this power line cut along the southwest corner and a small pocket here, which is where that fence juts around. So the berm extension also applies here to again lift that up. Existing berms are on the order of 7 or 8 feet high, and at a minimum they will be brought up to 3 feet based on the local topo in those areas. But ultimately,
You said they're already 70 feet, they were brought 3 more feet?
some of them are existing at 7 or 8 feet, and as the yard has been extended, there were not berms in all places. So the purpose of this design is effectively to cover those gaps and bring the legacy portions of the site up to that reinforced redeveloped standard to comply with current stormwater regulations, since the development of the property has occurred in phases over the years. And kind of small on these plans from where you're sitting, but there are colored phased lines here as well to reflect the 2, 10, and 25-year storm events, and how that accommodates within the southern portion of the property plenty of room for retention, even in the event of a larger storm. And operationally, they will be able to rework some things and stay out of that area to accommodate the water as needed. These are car rows vertically here, so we had some active discussions about the function of their operations as well, recognizing that in an ideal world we could both comply with regulations and protect some of their ability to use the workspace in the center of the property. So we have submitted, I have called the DEP to get an update and confirm they have everything that they need on their end for processing the NOI as well. But in coordination with Nick and Mike and Rich were out on site with us this morning to get the lay of the land and walk around, and I would welcome any questions.
All right, thank you. Well, I've got a few questions, probably all of which I could have asked you this morning, but
That's
I
okay.
couldn't make it. Consent order from the EPA, how old is that?
It is from 2020, right around COVID
Okay.
onset, which delayed some of this.
And that consent order simply was based on non-compliance with stormwater regulation. Is that a fair statement?
They did an inspection.
Yeah,
and
they
they just-
came to 3 of our
Oh,
locations.
just introduce yourself, please, for the posterity.
I'm sorry, John Marshall, the plant manager at LPQ.
Thank you.
Yes.
You're welcome, sir. They came to 3 of our locations, and the majority of the things that they found were paperwork issues.
Paperwork, okay,
Yes,
yeah.
sir.
Documentation.
Record keeping, yeah.
Yes, T's not crossed, I's not dotted. And because we were in compliance with everything as far as stormwater testing and things like that.
Mhm.
The numbers that were coming out of the stormwater was slightly elevated for aluminum. And really the only way to handle that, particularly with the southern fence line, is to keep the water on site. There's no way to really put a filtration system down there to catch heavy metals. It's just a flat sheet runoff, and it kind of funnels into 2 of the areas down there, or actually 1 area down there, so.
All right. Okay. So you mentioned that these berms, particularly on the southern part there, are to keep the stormwater runoff on site for infiltration. So literally you get this runoff and it just sits there, and then when it dries out, it just infiltrates into the soil, and that's it?
Yes, there is, the yard in general is covered with rock. It's not just a dirt yard. There's.
No, so I'm not beating around the bush here. Up until, I only had one occasion to go to you folks several years ago. I had to get a mirror for my car. Until then, my idea of a junkyard was out behind some guy's house. He's got a half an acre and it's all full of just junk cars, and he does what he can with it. Fluids everywhere. Oil, antifreeze, So here I am thinking, okay, you get the stormwater building up on the berms, and it's full of automobile fluids, and so that's my
No,
concern.
that's a great question. And John, feel free to correct me if I misquote this, but, when the vehicles come in,
Mhm.
they are, before they are placed in the yard,
Mhm.
they are drained, and some of the primary, the engine, catalytic converter, some of those primary parts are removed.
Mhm.
By the time they are placed in the yard, they're dry.
They drain the fluids.
Anything in the engine compartment.
We have two basic storage areas within the yard, so, right behind the shop, closest to where the dismantling bays are, we have what we call the fresh kill. So stuff coming in from the auction, right, so 300 plus cars, about 3 weeks worth of work,
Yeah.
staged, ready to roll. Once it goes into now those are vehicles with still fuel tanks, engine, transmissions, oils, tires, everything like that. But we make sure that there's no leaks, if there's any type of leaks coming off the delivery vehicles, they go into the building, we can feel them immediately.
Okay.
We make sure the hoods are down, the lids are closed, doors are all shut. We don't want any rainwater washing off anything contaminants off the engine, so if we have to pull a hood, that car needs to be dismantled immediately. Once the car is processed, all the fluid retaining components, engine, transmission, gearboxes, brake fluid lines, everything comes out. The fuel tank is actually dropped and drained, and recycled fuel, by the way. And then those things go back into a pile car and goes to a crusher. So the fuel tank gets shredded right away and gone away. Then when we place the vehicles into the yard, it's essentially an extension of our warehouse. You might have driven by the warehouse. It's
Yes,
a 35,000
many times,
square
yeah.
foot building. It's mostly sheet metal and powertrain, but there's still, lots of useful components on the vehicles after that's been removed. So they'll go out into the yard. We sit on them for about 350 to 385 days
Okay.
before they move to the crusher.
Okay.
And there is no oil floating around in my yard in puddles, sir.
Okay.
Heads would roll. So, Rich and Michael both walked the yard with us today, and at least, when they were leaving the parking lot, they said the place was nice and clean and dry. And we take almost an obscene pride in our ability to walk through that yard and not find trash, not find oil, not find washer fluid bottles sitting on the vehicle.
And that's part of the routine compliance inspections as well,
Okay.
the spill kits are in place, everything's accessible, people know where they are, we do annual training of the staff.
Well, yeah, I imagine EPA and DEP, an operation of this size, they know where you folks are.
Yes, sir. They certainly do.
All right, good. That answers my question. I'm all set. Thank you very much.
Sure.
Appreciate it. I'm all set. If anybody else has any questions. Go ahead, sir.
So where are the oil and hazardous materials stored on site?
Everything is in double wall containment, so we have on the outside of the building, the only thing on the outside of the building is off-road diesel fuel fluid, that's in double wall tanks, we call it a tank farm. We have 1,500 gallons of storage for gasoline, so we recycle the gasoline and use it for our delivery vehicles from the other facility down in Sterling. So that's on the outside as well. Again, double wall containment, electronic pumps, computer controlled, very high tech and nice. On the inside of the building, we have 2 500-gallon storage tanks that are in a specially created area, 4 foot high, 3.5 foot, 4 foot high cement walls all the way around it, and a separating. We didn't look at that today.
No.
And a 275-gallon separation tank. So all the fluids, antifreeze, power steering fluid, engine, transmission oil, everything gets pumped up into that, filtered and pumped up in there. As that thing fills over the week, it starts to separate. We come in on a Monday morning, we have to throw a couple of valves, and we drain off all the coolant sinks, oil floats, drain off all the coolant to the 500-gallon storage tank for antifreeze. When that starts to run oil, we switch the valves, we drain the oil into the other tank. We use Sin Environmental, which is just recently been purchased by Clean Harbors.
I used to work for Sen, actually.
Okay, so,
Did you?
Yeah, a long time ago.
so Sin comes to us
Yeah.
every week, every day, and he pulls up what he can. He usually comes to us with an empty truck, he cleans it all out.
Yeah.
Any overflow goes into 275-gallon totes, which is very rare, and that stays inside the building. The only other fluid that we really deal with of any size is windshield washer fluid, which is surprisingly the most expensive fluid to get rid of. It's $4 a gallon to get rid of it.
Wow.
So we don't get rid of it. We fill up 55-gallon barrels and we send them off to our customers in schools, and we just send 2 drums down to Worcester Tech and they use it in their shop to fill things up. So that's really recycling.
Right.
We call it squeezing the sponge. We try to get every nickel we can out of those cars and not have to pay to get rid of anything.
Do you heat the building with waste oil?
We do not, sir. The waste oil is problematic, as always has been. I've had them for years and years and years in other facilities, and the cost of keeping those things up and running is not worth the aggravation. So waste oil goes off-site with sand, and we use propane. We have 3,000-gallon propane tanks underground behind the warehouse that heats all the buildings in hot water.
And even their wash bay for shipping out parts is a closed system. It's on a clean out schedule, and same company handles that as well.
You all set, Steph?
Yeah, yes, with that, I do have one more question. So you said that there are like 3 areas of wetland, one to the north, one to the west, and one to the south. Where are your sampling points for your stormwater management oversight?
So, sort of directly related, but on opposite sides of the fence, there is a 8-foot-ish chain link fence with razor wire around the perimeter of the operational portion of the property.
The whole property? No.
Technically, some of the wetlands are on the parcel, but they are outside of the fence. And outside of the berm as well.
Okay.
So there is a point here, and there is basically a created rock swale to pull the water off the power cut and away from the yard. And there's a sample point there, and there's a sample point up here in the low spot in the northeast corner.
And how often a little sample? Would you say quarterly?
Quarterly. And the parking lot also drains into the site, not away from it, so there are a couple of outfalls that collect and go to this sample point here off the parking lot.
Okay.
Route 12 drains into the property as well as.
Correct.
Road is crowned, and so they're taking some of the runoff from there.
Okay. Rich?
So, I was out there today.
Yeah.
Just to add a couple things. The wetlands are right next to the outside the fence, basically.
Yes.
And they take up the
On
space
the
pretty well.
southerly portion there?
There, in particular, up on the other side, some.
They're also.
Up there, okay.
Right, so they're well deep in the buffer zone, which to me does not matter in that case, because they're not out in the wetlands.
Right.
They're really not changing anything, they're just raising some berms a little higher, so there's really no impact on this site.
Yeah.
Right.
From my view, and the cars were shells, for my word for them at least, they were pretty empty, I mean, there's nothing much in them.
Yeah.
They were definitely, it was all dry. When they sampled that, they only sample when there's actual water flowing over.
Yeah.
Because they have to do a storm.
Kind of qualifying event of.
Yeah, sometimes there's no discharge. Even though we get a storm,
Sure.
sometimes there's no discharge on that southern fence.
Yeah.
Within the first half hour of surface flow.
Okay.
There were some puddles out there, no shiny floating stuff in the puddles.
One would not expect, I mean, how much area has no berm versus the low ones like this, that are foot and a half.
There's a small area up here that they've been starting to supplement with some rock and gravel, and a very small area in the low spot here. Most of it has at least that 1 to 3 foot berm, but it's just not sufficient to meet current regulations or fully contain the perimeter.
And again, the berm is just to keep the stormwater on site and let it infiltrate.
Correct.
It's hard to picture it being a foot full of water, but
Well, there's a lot of land to drain off, so I can maybe kind of see that.
With a significant rain, if you.
Yeah.
We don't get too many hurricanes up here, but we do get that fluky storm of a couple. Knock on wood.
And they're all permeable, the berms are all permeable.
Yeah.
And correct me if I'm wrong, but the north side, the berm is low because you did some corrections for the outside yard. You raised actually the elevation of that yard with stone and stone dust and some additional rock. There were berms that were higher
Yes,
than that.
that is correct.
Down that they've just gone away because they built
The
up.
ground itself came out, yeah.
It looked like a really good operation, and I could see.
Yeah, I was there a few, I had to get a mirror for an old car of mine.
And doing a very,
Yes.
very helpful thing for environmental protection by getting all these vehicles out of the backyards and off the roads, and and then, as he said, squeezing a sponge or,
Yes.
getting everything out of it, down to the bones.
Well, to your point, it's a known facility and a known operation that
Yeah,
Yeah,
is closely monitored.
so NEPA is requiring all this.
yeah,
so-
consent to, I know, I understood, right, yeah.
Yeah, so I would suggest we move and get out of the way. Yes, it's-
Michael, do you have any questions?
No, we asked a bunch today.
Okay, everybody else set? Okay, yeah, I have no more further questions, I'd open the public, but there's nobody here, so, do I have to do that anyway?
Somebody might call in.
Maybe just to be safe.
Oh, yeah, okay. With that, I'll close this portion of the hearing and open up to the public. If there's anybody here from the public who'd like to, or wants to call in, if you have any questions, please do so, but state your name and address first. Second time? Third and final time? All right, with that, I'll go ahead and close the hearing. No, we didn't want to close the hearing, did we?
Well, and that's the other thing, on closing hearings, we actually have to vote on that.
So to
So
close,
someone has to entertain a motion to close the hearing.
got it, okay. So do we want, did we decide we want to close it?
Well, I was going to recommend, just out of an abundance of caution, for us to wait on DEP's comments, but since, the EPA is
It's a consent.
ordering this, and,
Right.
based on Rich and Mike's, report from today, I think it would be fair to close it.
Okay, all right, then I'll entertain a motion then to close the hearing.
I'll make a motion to close the hearing.
Thank you, Rich.
And I will second it.
Thank you, Michael.
All right, and Stephanie, aye or nay? To close the hearing?
Aye.
Aye, yes.
Yeah.
Okay, yes, so aye, and then Chuck Raymond?
Aye.
All right, so with 4-0, the hearing is closed. We can,
So we have to actually take a motion to close it.
the chair can't just do it.
He went to a webinar the other day.
Yeah.
Yeah, I watched it too. I saw your name on it.
All right,
I
good.
know just what I'm talking about.
All right,
Yeah. So now we-
all right, we'll close to Nick, do you have a recommendation on?
Based on Rich and Mike's visit today and the discussion at the meeting today, I would recommend that we vote to approve the order of conditions.
All right, thank you, Nick. With that, I'll.
The boilerplate special conditions.
Right,
And all that, of
okay.
course, yeah.
Super. All right, with that then, I'll entertain a motion to accept the project as described.
Also move.
Thank you, Rich.
I will
Second.
second.
Thank you, Michael.
Stephanie?
Aye.
Be careful, don't be, and Chuck.
Aye.
All right, so with the 4-0, the order is approved.
So once we get the DB file number, then we'll go ahead and sign that.
Yes, sir.
Okay, great.
Nothing.
Roger that. Oh, yeah, come by. If anybody else wants to come by and see the facility, we'd love to do the 50-cent tour.
Okay.
Thank you for it today. I really enjoyed it.
I'm very proud of that place.
Yeah.
I put a lot of work into it, not just everybody, but
Like I said, with that one time I was there, I needed to get a mirror and outside, the driver's side mirror. I was just flabbergasted by the operation. I just
It's pretty impressive.
run a very tight operation there. How many do you have in the area?
85, sir. Oh,
In this area,
uh,
ish.
Webster, Cumberland, Rhode Island, and then we have a couple of aftermarket warehouses. So on Charleston Road in Sterling, we have a 75,000 square foot warehouse.
I saw your sign down there, yeah.
And it's got a 100 door cross dock for delivery drivers. So we don't have any drivers out of our facility. We just bring all our product down there.
Okay.
And they deliver.
And so you have 85 nationwide?
No, we have 265 nationwide. I thought you were talking about employees here in
Yeah,
Leominster.
employees.
We have 85 people in the.
Oh, okay. Wow.
That's the number of employees nationwide, not facilities.
And how many down in Sterling? You know?
Oh, yeah, slightly under, probably, they're in the 70, they do 3 shifts down there, so they're probably 70 some of the
That's
drivers.
great. That's great.
Good, all right.
That's good business.
All right, well, thank you very much.
Thanks for coming
Thank
down.
you all. We
Appreciate your time.
Thank you very much.
Any follow-up questions, don't hesitate to reach out.
Yeah.
I'll give you an update when I get back to you.
Thanks. Thanks for being so communicative.
Likewise.
All right, moving on then, on the agenda, no continued hearings. Moving on.
Congratulations. So just say congratulations.
Oh, no continued, yeah, I know, correct, yeah, right.
I've seen that.
I worked hard on that.
Take care.
Under new business, we have a newly vacant commission seat.
Yes, so as I've let people know, well, Stephanie might not know, but our one of our commissioners, Jeffrey Goyne, is gonna be having to resign due to personal reasons, so we had 4, and now with the temporary appointment until their official appointment is completed, we have Josh and Stephanie now on the commission with us. And that leaves 1 empty seat still with Jeff gone, so, put the word out there, I've let the mayor know, they're gonna blast that out and let people know, and hopefully we can get that filled soon. And related to that, we recently lost Elizabeth Ricci, who was our vice chair, and we are still in need of a vice chair in her absence, so anticipating Chuck's absence on October 11th, I think it's relatively pressing that we get a vice chair today, if we may so do that. And then, the process for that would basically just be someone would have to make a motion to appoint someone else as the vice chair. You can't do it for yourself, but if someone made that motion and we seconded it, we would just vote, and then that's that. So.
Yeah, it's my understanding that the vice chair basically really just kind of, if the chair isn't available,
Yes.
just takes the place temporarily for the chair.
Doesn't need.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And
So I've got the October 11th?
October
11th meeting, I won't be around, so we'll need somebody to step in, so.
Then I'd like to nominate Commissioner Guller.
Can I get a second for that?
Second?
Thank
Okay,
you.
So 70 seconds. Well,
I'll
Rich,
accept.
would you accept that?
I'll
I think you must
accept
accept
it. I
it.
won't
Yeah, I don't
vote.
know if we can oppose it. So you do accept this
I will
nomination?
accept that. I am, with Mike, the second longest running member now on this commission.
Right?
I think that's more than
Next to
appropriate.
Chuck.
You came in first, that's why I nominated you. You were in the interview before me.
And so then finally, Chuck.
I vote aye.
All right, so I don't know if you vote technically for yourself, but
Doesn't matter if I vote no, you're still making me do it.
yeah. So with
Three. Chuck,
So 3 votes in the aye, Richard Gullick is our new vice chair. Congratulations, Rich.
Put that on your resume.
yeah, I'm building a new resume. It's all local stuff, less headaches. So,
We're gonna get stickers, no chicken coops.
All right, good. Well, thank you. Appreciate that.
Yeah, I would just
Thank you, Rich.
just of course recommend just talk to Chuck and if
Yeah, I'll be
you
in touch
fill him
with
in
him.
and just make sure you're prepared.
Yeah. All right, moving on. Orchard Hill Park Walk Ahead of ANRAD, map parcel 369-1-4.
Yeah, so Chuck, Mike, and Ken were out there with us, with Matt Morrow, who's the environmental consultant on this job. He recently gave me the ANRAD, but it's after the deadline for this meeting, so we won't be able to hear it until the next meeting, but we had that walk. If any of you wanna say anything in particular about it, but yeah, it seemed like a good walk. There is potentially plans for a warehouse to be built there, but that's further down the road. And the area of the site that we reviewed, I think we came to, a consensus on the, not a consensus on the walk. No final decision, but it seemed to me that there wasn't a wetland present in the concerned area. So
Yeah, it seemed like there were some wetland type areas, but like you showed us, he gets that auger in there 4 inches and he's hitting a rock.
Yeah, no hydric soils,
Yeah.
anything like that. So relatively recently in the last few decades, abandoned agricultural fields. There's a lot of weedy tree growth and stuff in there.
Right. Stephanie, you know what ANRAD is? Would you choose it?
So I'm still learning this myself.
It's
It's
an abbreviated notice of resource area determination.
yes. Yeah.
It's even before an RDA, resource, request for determination of applicability. It's, hey, do you guys think there are any wetlands out here?
Mhm.
We don't think there are. If you think, so we did a sidewalk to see, have Mike, to Matt walk us around 2 areas that he flagged as potentially being wetlands, but it really didn't look like
That
it.
who flagged
The consultant for the property owner.
Cool.
they're sometimes very conservative, and they're picking things that you would not think
Mhm.
are appropriate for us to be messing with. So it's kind of determining whether it's our jurisdiction or not.
Right,
Okay.
right.
It's the effect, that's the effect of it.
There were some areas that he flagged as potentially wetlands, but like he had some plants that were facultative wetland next to literally a couple feet away from an ash tree, which is an upland species. So it's
Yeah.
very bizarre. And he walked us around most of the area.
Are you guys qualified as like to delineate wetlands?
No,
Okay.
no, we're not wetland scientists. I don't have to get myself into trouble. So we literally go by the recommendation of the wetland scientists that are in front of us presenting.
And
But are
our
you?
own observations and common
I
sense.
am not.
But we do use our own observations and common sense. You know,
Correct, that's true,
flowing
right,
water,
yeah.
and you're telling me it's not a wetland, that was.
Right.
Question.
Yeah, you can, so if that was the case, can you request that they, like get a wetland scientist in there to delineate?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that is how we would
Yeah.
handle that.
And Matt
It was our
Monroe
opinion.
is a wetland scientist.
Yeah, and Matt Arrow is also, he's the chair of the Concom in Lunenburg or something like that.
He was
or
until recently.
till, yeah. So I mean, he knows what he's talking about.
So we-
He's been in front of us many times.
Yeah.
We trust him implicitly. He's a very, very, very good gentleman, very smart, very upfront. Doesn't try to BS us at all.
No.
So,
But in the scenario that, someone came before us, a wetland scientist, and we wanted still a third-party opinion, we could do that. There's
right,
a
we
procedure.
do that judiciously, we don't
Yeah.
just do it willy-nilly.
You get a peer review on
Yeah,
a lot
yeah.
of
It
things.
does happen, what happens once in a while.
And we don't always ask somebody to do it, if it's a homeowner, or if it's a new development, typically they would, if it's a homeowner, sometimes they don't have to hire somebody.
Yeah.
You know, you just say, oh, well, you're obviously within the buffer, or you're obviously right next to it, so
Right.
do these actions.
Yeah.
And saving the money, hire somebody.
So just, keep an eye on that coming down the pike.
And I'm a forestry and wildlife manager major, so I'm familiar with an ash tree is an upland species, and I know what these various ferns look like. So I have a rudimentary understanding of it, but I'm not a wetland,
Yeah.
never been a wetland scientist.
I will defer to you. I know rocks and dirt,
There you go, that's helpful
Well,
too.
there's plenty of that up there,
Yeah.
so that's.
but like biology, like living things, like.
Yeah. So like we said, there's some areas that were, it was very odd in terms of the plants that were right next to each other. So it had some wetland type activities going on, but it was, from what Matt was telling us, with the DEP says if you can't get down to a foot without hitting rocks, it's not a wetland.
Yeah.
So,
And we found out that sedges have edges.
sedges and edges, yes, correct.
You will pick up some plant things
I
along the
don't
way.
Just going on
if I haven't
sidewalks,
to
yeah.
do it,
Correct, yeah.
Especially segueing on, if you come to the foliage walk.
There you go. So with that, then I'll thank you, well,
Vice
segue.
chair is pushing us along here.
So, moving on. So under old business, first item, autumn foliage walk at Barrett Park, day after tomorrow, Thursday the 29th.
Yep.
More walks to come. Nick, what do you have?
Yeah, so I've gotten some, I guess you could call them RSVPs for the walk on Thursday. Not necessarily expecting everyone to show up there to let me know ahead of time, but we have a few people come in already.
And what time is it again?
It's starting at 4 p.m.
4.
in front of the rec office there, so just right by the parking lot.
All right.
We'll just
I
do,
won't be there.
it'll just be an hour and a half, walk around the pond. We're gonna, talk about some local trees and hopefully see some autumn color. It's a little early, but
There'll be some stressed out maples and you can
there's
see some color.
there's a tree or two down there that's showing some color, so we'll get that in. But just, educate the public on some local ecology and get them, hopefully get them passionate about, what's living around here.
Well, I wish you good luck. I think it's great. I would love to go, and unfortunately I will not be available, but that sounds like a great operation, and I'm looking forward to more.
I second that, and if you could take some photos while you're out there, I would love to see that.
Sure,
I'd slap some labels on there,
sure.
just for myself, and then I'll make them look pretty if you wanna,
Okay, yeah, that could, we could use that on, future blurbs and things, so.
It's on my schedule.
Awesome.
Good.
Perfect.
Mike, you made it 10?
I will be in Iceland.
That's,
You will not, then, huh?
and that's at 4 o'clock, right?
Starts at 4 and goes until 5:30, depending on how long we take, how many questions are asked and things like that.
I could do a live broadcast from Iceland. Reykjavik.
Oh, you can, tell it up here. Yeah.
You leave tomorrow?
Actually Thursday morning.
And we don't have any other walks scheduled for now, but I was thinking about maybe October 27th is a tentative date, so I'll be getting more things organized.
Keep in mind the midwinter walk.
Oh, for sure, I'm gonna be doing all year.
Yeah, okay.
There's always stuff it's always just, just to see what's out there and get people exposed, because people spend a lot of time inside.
Yeah,
I
they
like
don't know what's out there.
I like saying you're taking initiative into other areas of what the commission does.
Yeah,
Not
agreed.
just the wetlands regulation.
Yeah, I think it's great.
Yep, agreed.
We'll take it
Do it
serious.
around the
Nice
full
job.
moons in the winter, it's beautiful, It really is.
That's a good idea.
Yeah.
For a potential walk in the future.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, cool. Well, good luck with it. All right, moving on. MACC conference in Devon's on October 15th.
Yeah, so you might have been seeing these if you're subscribed to the MACC emails. I forwarded you the stuff there. Feel free to subscribe to them. They're a great resource. But they throw conferences regularly, and they have I think the first in-person one in a while, right? If I'm not mistaken, on October 15th in Devon's.
So it's a Saturday, right?
Yes, it's a Saturday, and it's pretty much all day. I think it starts at the first session start at 9 or something like that, and then the last ones are from 1:30 to 3. And there's a time for lunch and things like that. Some good networking opportunities for other commissioners, other conservation agents, conservation professionals in central Massachusetts, maybe larger Massachusetts area.
Stephanie?
Sorry, I was looking at where Devon's is.
Oh, so I'm sorry. Okay, all right.
That's fine.
Just the optics of it.
Yes.
Right. So I just wanted to bring that up and get a general tally for interest. We do have money in the budget for it. We have, I think it's a $150-160 per registration, and for this conference, and we have 800 set aside for conferences in the budget currently. But depending on the level of interest, I could maybe talk to someone and get budgetary things switched around.
I totally won't want to go. I want to check my calendar when I get home.
Okay. Yeah.
But speaking for, I've been to several MACC conferences. I don't know if this is the same one that used to be at Holy Cross or a different one. But the ones I went to at Holy Cross, the food is fantastic.
Yeah. And do they provide food then? I couldn't remember.
Yeah. Well, they did it at Holy Cross.
Okay.
If this is the same one that just moved to Devon's, I'm not sure.
I'll have to
I think the ones I used to go to, I think were in the springtime, like March or April. So it might be a different conference, but still MACC.
Yeah.
But anyway.
That should be a good time.
But I don't know if I'll be able to go for the whole day, but I'll be in touch. But I tentatively want to go.
Sure, and that's something that you mentioned. You register for the whole day, so I'm gonna talk and just make sure that that's okay with budgetary things if we register people, knowing that they're not going to be able to attend the full thing. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But it seems okay to me. But I'll just to make a note of that.
Yeah. If I am able to go with registration or whatever, and I have to stay the full day, I can make that work.
Okay. All right. I'll try and. I don't think it'll be too much of an issue, but it might be. So I'll let you guys know.
Good.
Interested in going?
Yeah, I'm gonna go.
Mike?
I don't wanna bust the bank. It's 3 already.
If you're interested,
If we don't spend it, I'm gonna
take
give
a
it to
look.
us.
I would recommend. Do you have the email? Do you get the? I would recommend
I
you
looked at the agenda.
and all the different talks and stuff. Yeah. So if something strikes you, I encourage you to go. But if not, I understand. So I'll put you down as a maybe.
I'm a maybe.
A definite
I'm trying to schedule some other stuff. Go where they have to
Definite
fix
maybe.
that one. I know what's up.
I'll let you guys know in the next few days so we can get you guys registered.
That'd be great.
Because that's coming up soon.
Big Leominster Comic-Con party.
Yeah.
Cool. All right.
With that actual registration, how does that work? Would you register for us?
So that's the other thing. I think you would register yourself. You might have to pay and be reimbursed.
Okay, that's fine.
But like I said, it's like $150, $160, I think. So.
Okay.
And let's see. I'm gonna make some calls and get you guys because the existing members are on our membership for the MACC, where our commission is a member, so I'll have to put you on there, but you'll get like the member cost, which is slightly cheaper than a non-member cost.
Okay,
And there's actually some payroll documentation that I haven't filled in yet, that I think you probably have, right?
Yes, I do.
Yeah, so there's some pay, so the.
Just generally, I mean,
Yeah,
as
because
for the commission.
there's a stipend and then that gets you officially on the books.
right,
And then you become part of the commission and all that, so.
okay.
but
It's like
the,
85 pages, but it's okay.
yeah, the mayor's office or whoever should be in touch with you about that. If you don't hear anything about signing up for payroll or anything in the next few weeks, just let me know and I'll light a fire under somebody, so.
Okay.
All right, cool. All right, moving on. Certificate of compliance, we have none. Extension permits, we have none. Communications, NOIs we filed for work at 445 North Street.
Yeah, so
And you should have all got an email if you would check this afternoon about it.
since
Photographs.
I visited the site and took some photos, and I've received some photos from the homeowner. So I've shared that on the Google Drive. I just shared it with you today, so if you haven't seen it yet, you should be able to see it now. But I was contacted by the owner, Phil Simos, I believe it's pronounced. He apparently had been in communication with Angela, the previous agent, a few months ago about some work that he wanted to do on the house. They just recently bought the property in the last few years. There's like a little creek / drainage thing kind of running from wetland just north of the property down through and then cuts under North Street. So I think it was a miscommunication, I'm not sure. He's been very upfront with me about everything since I've gotten in contact with him, but the work on the property seemed a lot more extensive than what maybe Angela had understood. She told him that he didn't need to file anything, but it's my opinion that he should at least file an NOI just based on everything he's got going on there. There's machine work within the buffer, there's all this
Trees
stuff.
taken down.
Some trees, small trees taken down, things like that, some brush getting cleared, so. He's been very apologetic and very upfront with me again, so I'm not.
And he stopped the work now?
He's stopped it, it was pretty much complete by the time I found out anything about it, so I just asked him there were no erosion controls in place before along the creek, so I had asked him to just put that in place, by yesterday was the date, and he contacted me yesterday, he had put it in place, I went there and looked at it, and it seemed fine.
What do they use?
Straw wattle, yeah.
Okay.
Like the tubes, that's
Mhm.
wattle, yeah. So yeah, he's, been complying, he's been doing what I asked him to, and his wife and him are working on the NOI, they should be getting it to me in the next few days, so see that, to be coming up probably at the end of October. We'll be talking about it, and that'll just include all the previous stuff that he's done and any ongoing things that he might have, coming up.
Were some butters upset? Is that how?
No, he had reached out to me himself, and I guess he might have been trying to get in touch with Angela since she left, I'm not sure, but I don't know why he contacted me when he did, but he just reached out, he was just like, hey, I just wanna let you know,
That's a good sign.
so I took a visit out, and it
So
was,
you heard from him?
yeah, that's what I mean, so he's been very,
Yeah.
yeah, so he means well, I think there was maybe a breakdown in communication somewhere along the line, so.
Okay.
So yeah, that'll be coming up.
Yeah, if you, I don't know if you saw the email from Nick, but 445 North Street, if you go up to King's Corner.
Yep.
And take a left.
Yep.
It's down there towards Fitchburg.
Okay.
It becomes Summer Street in Fitchburg. Down there on the right.
Yeah.
All right, meeting minutes, May 10th, June 14th, reviewed.
Yeah, so I have shared the minutes on
Oh, you did? Okay, so I'll look at that.
on the drive.
Okay.
If you guys haven't had a chance to look at it, if you weren't aware, I understand. For my part, I've looked at May 10th and I've read through it just to make sure makes sense, it's intelligible, but as far as, the accuracy, that's up to Mike Huffman, who's the one typing these all up for us. But I wasn't at the May 10th meeting, but it seems, to make sense and to be a good record, so I would recommend approving it. But if
Were
You
you at
guys-
the June 14th?
So the June 14th, there was one section, I was just reviewing it today, I haven't had a chance to go back and watch the video, but there was one section in the middle of it that just didn't make sense. They might have started to type something and then start typing something else and didn't finish it. It was just a sentence that didn't go anywhere. So I'm gonna go back and review that, and then once I get that corrected and edited, then I'll come back and recommend it.
Then put it back on the Google Drive,
Yes, yeah.
so to speak, correct?
Well, on the Google Drive, you can edit whatever, like you all can go
Yeah,
through
you can
there.
edit it live.
Yeah. So if you, as I'm putting up meeting minutes, that's another thing, if you guys see something that's obviously like not right, or someone repeats a word as you're reading through it, you know, feel free to take that
So
out.
you want us to edit in that document, save it there, not on our home computers instead?
Correct.
You can save it on your home computer, you know, to have different copies as you go through the process, but if you're editing it on the drive, it'll automatically save for everyone.
I would recommend doing it that way versus saving it to your computer, changing the file name, putting it back up, then we still got two documents up there, so it's gonna clutter the whole thing.
And I'll have the originals that I received from Michael saved on my computer separate.
Right.
So like, don't feel afraid to mess up anything or whatever, we have the originals, so. Okay. Well, don't worry about it. So yeah, I would recommend that we approve the May 10th minutes, and that we wait to hold a vote on the June 14th minutes.
I'd like to go read them, because especially since he wasn't there.
Yeah, I would
Who was
too,
there, has to
yeah.
read them before we approve.
Yeah, I made
Hold off,
it,
give me another 2 weeks.
Okay.
yeah, I made myself a note to look at them, so I'm just gonna take care of that soon.
Okay. And when the time comes, we'll just have to, you know, make a motion and vote on it,
Yeah.
and that'll be it.
That's fine.
So I meant to for this meeting, just didn't get to.
And we should, I don't know why he hasn't sent them to me, but I've talked to Caitlin in the clerk's office, who is Mike's wife, and she said that he's been working on them, he's gonna send them to me. He's got a bunch backlogged, but he thought he wanted me to get all of them at once, but I just said, you know, just send me what he has, so we should have more minutes
Okay.
by the next one, if not all of them.
I think deja vu on that.
Yeah, I know, that's, me too.
Great. Okay, good to hear.
That's
So it's just me.
But they're coming, they're coming.
Good.
That review and approval, does
Yes.
everybody need to read off, like read through those? And then just like slap a signature on the top or something?
We just vote to approve the minutes that they're accurate for what actually took place, and then once we vote, I'll just send it to the clerk's office, and then they give it a stamp.
Okay,
And then I'll throw that up on the website, and they'll become available to anyone, becomes part of the public record. But they just have to stamp it.
yeah, based on the dates here, this won't be relevant for me for
No,
a while.
Yeah, I don't think you could even, review it, so.
Yeah.
We've been asked in the past to sign off on minutes where we were not there. I do not like that idea and resisted that, as I resisted tonight. So
Yeah.
Yes.
ideally, it would be those who were at the meeting
Right.
to vote on
Right.
that meeting's minutes, and they should review them and correct them, because there'll be names misspelled and sometimes there's a negative instead of a positive or vice versa.
Or sometimes there's a sentence that goes nowhere.
And
Yeah.
something, that just makes, is gibberish.
Yeah.
So a couple people need to read them.
Yeah.
At least, I'm not saying every single commission member was there necessarily, needs to read them like there's 7, but we need more confidence than just the transcriber.
Absolutely.
Who wasn't here?
Who wasn't
Right, who's going off
Just watching the video.
the video.
All right, any more questions about minutes? All set?
Nope.
Okay.
No, thank
All right,
you.
moving on, under enforcement, we have nothing. Under emergency certifications, we have nothing. Under budget, we have updated budget report.
Yeah, so I'm still learning Munis, which is the budgeting software that we use in City Hall, but I had the comptrollers print me off an updated one so that the last one, I don't know what, it was like incorporating stuff from the last fiscal year and this fiscal year, but this one is just for, since I think June is when it started, so if anyone wants to, take a look at it, or I could send them out to people, but it's got,
I want a copy, when you send it to me.
I'll send you a copy.
Send it out, yeah.
if anyone wants to look at it, quick after the meeting or anything, you're more than welcome.
No, I think we just touched on this at the last meeting, but this is just the Conservation Commission expenses and any revenue location. This is nothing to do with your salary or?
No,
things
that's
like
a
that?
separate,
Yeah.
code.
Okay.
Yeah.
So this is just the expenses and assets and,
Yeah, or object, I think is that, like there's an object number for Conservation Commission expenses, it's called,
Yeah.
and then there's like a separate one for different salaries and whatever else. So,
all right,
our budget is $14,200 a year.
okay. We need to spend it.
Yeah, just in general, that's that's the entire fund.
Okay.
And like I said, we have 800 for conferences, various different things, but if we needed more for any particular one before we reevaluate the budget for next year, I could just talk to someone in the comptroller's office and we can.
All right.
You also mentioned it's not a line item budget, is that correct? It's just an overall department budget, which allows you to shift money within the budget.
So it's
That's correct.
if I'm understanding line item budget correctly, there are like categories in here, like advertising, phone, like postage, and we have certain amounts allotted to each of those.
Right.
But I've been told not to just do stuff on my own and move things around because I don't even know how to do that. But I guess people have done that in the past, which is not appreciated. But they just asked that I talk to, I think it was, can't remember her name, but Reddington in the comptroller's office, and then she, if it's something that we need to do, like she doesn't have any issue.
It's much more restrictive if you have to stick to that every single line. Like, you
Yeah.
spend more than $60 on this or $280 on that.
Yeah, no.
Versus there's 14,000 total, don't spend more than 14,000.
Yeah, I think for the general, we shouldn't spend more than the total 14,000 on everything throughout the whole year, but if there's more needed for, like, say, conferences, there's room to shift that around.
Cause you're within it.
Yeah, and
So it's not a line item budget then.
I
You can
think,
shift.
yes,
Yes.
yeah. I just need to talk.
You was,
Yeah.
confirm.
I would, I think there's a lot of site visits going on, so I'd like to suggest that we allocate some money for some red orange vests or something that identifies us. It's hunting season. There's a lot of knuckleheads out there. And,
That's not a bad idea with Leominster on it and Conservation Commission. I think
Yeah.
that's awesome.
And what'd be good there also along with that is a little sign for our dashboards when we go to something, just, Conservation Commission member or something, stick it on.
Oh, yeah, that could just be a little laminated.
Yeah, a little laminated,
Yeah,
right,
yeah.
about 4 by 12 or something like that.
Yeah.
Is that when I was in the Concom Falmouth, we had,
Right, I've been meaning to print something, like type something up, like.
or you can print up your cell phone and whatever, however you want to do it.
Yeah,
But I agree with some type of
hunting
Yeah.
orange.
orange or the bright
We
yellow.
were up at Target now, and that, to me, is way too close for hunting.
Yeah,
But there were 2 tree stands up there.
right.
Right, yeah,
I mean.
we saw a bear.
Yeah,
Well,
there was a
it's
bear.
the trail, we're always at the side of the road. Everywhere, almost everywhere we go, we see apple, right? That's what they don't park a lot, so it's a safety thing. That would be a good thing. I'll look into that.
Yeah, if you get
Especially if we
order
make
7 of
official
those.
logo or something.
Definitely.
Is the fiscal year the same as the calendar year?
No, it's different, I think, but it's different depending on the organization, I guess, which I didn't always realize.
Well, the state's July 1st to June 30th.
Yes, that's I think we follow
Follow
that one.
state.
Because it was right after I came on.
Yes, we do.
Is it the
That's
state
correct.
one?
Yeah.
Yep.
Because right after I came on, like at the beginning of June, was when they were turning over all this stuff. So, but they will also connected to that. I should mention this. I was informed that around January I'll start getting emails about allocating for the upcoming year's budget. So
Okay.
once I start hearing about that, I'll be sure to let you guys know, and then we can adjust anything as needed or request any more money or anything, depending on how the year goes.
Okay. And we'll need new nameplates for the new members.
Yes, yeah.
And you have to have assistant chairperson.
And yeah, legislative vice chair over there, yeah.
Vice chair.
I may change my name. I like to change it every so often.
Ooh.
We'll
Edgy.
wait. I'll wait till.
Getting married, are you?
Yeah, we can, I'll wait till both of those changes are finalized, and then I'll order your new nameplate.
All right, good. All right, well then, moving on to the next item on the agenda, the next meeting then, is October 11th, 2022. The filing deadline was this past Friday, September 23rd at noon. So with that, I will, yes, Rich, just something before we adjourn.
I do, thank you very much.
You're welcome. Thank you for raising your hand.
I'd like to ask if there's any status update on the chicken coop situation.
I've been driving by, I've not seen anything move, but I can
Have you
reach out.
spoken to them recently?
I haven't reached out or heard any communication from
I'd
them,
like
but
to make a formal request that our
I-
conservation agent reach out to the representative or owner and find out what the status is.
I can do
No
that.
work has been done for the garage either. so
I'd
that's-
suggest that the coop needs to move regardless of whether the garage is built, and that it is likely one of us at least will make a motion to, for enforcement order to do that.
Yep.
If they don't get moving on, I'd like to see it moved by
Good
the
point.
end of the calendar year.
Understood.
If that's fair enough, okay?
No, I agree with Rich on that one.
Yeah, I'll reach out to, Barry or, his representative, or October 11th.
Thank you. That's-
Good one. Yeah, because that's gotta move before they do any work in the garage.
Yes.
Scoop it.
So it's good to know the garage isn't up either, so that's good. All right, then, I will, with that then, I will then take a motion to adjourn.
You want me to do the first
Second.
motion? You can, you can say, I would like to make a motion to adjourn the meeting.
I would like to make a motion to adjourn the meeting.
And I will second that motion.
Thank you, Michael.
Okay. Rich
Aye.
and Chuck Rim.
Aye.
And with that, 4-0, the meeting is adjourned.
Thank you.